Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV. Well, welcome to this preview of the game against Everton at Goodison Park, 17:30 kickoff on Saturday evening. And what we've done for this preview is invite along the Mighty Blues, and that is led by Cameron. Now, you may have seen Cameron on the last Man City Fan TV fan cam, which was back earlier this year at Goodison Park, and we interviewed him then. So we brought him back on to do a bit of a preview video, and what we've done as usual is we've asked each other 5 questions. So first off, what I'm going to do is answer Cameron's first question, and that is, will Pep leave if Manchester City win the Champions League this season, and who replaces him? Wow. Will he leave if he won the Champions League? No, I don't believe he would, because if we did win the Champions League, I think he'd want to defend it. Now, as we know, he signed a contract extension at Manchester City, and that runs out at the end of the 2021 season. That'll mean that he's been with City then for 5 years, which is the longest he's ever been at any club since he became a manager in 2008. Now, Willie, he seems to be very happy at Manchester City. He said that he's very, very happy at the club. He likes living in the city. We know that his wife has moved back to Spain, but we don't know the reasons why that has happened. But he's, I just think he likes it. He enjoys the challenge. I think he likes working with his friends, Cheeky Bagirstein and obviously Ferran Soriano. So I think it all depends. Can I see him staying here for the next sort of 5-6 years? I doubt it. But I definitely think, and I think he's mentioned this before in press conferences, he will be seeing out his contract. So he's still got, another this season and another season to go before he has to even think about making that decision. And I'm sure Cheeky and Ferran will definitely, towards the end of this season coming, maybe, I don't know, March, April time next year, we'll be talking to Pep Guardiola about the possibility of maybe an additional year or 2 on his contract. They tend to always leave the extensions until he's approaching the final year. So I don't think there's any rush at the moment. I think he'll definitely stay regardless of what we win or what we don't win. As for a replacement, well, we've got one of your ex-boys, Mikel Arteta, and Arteta seems to be really, really well liked by the players. Pep is very impressed with the way that he works, and he's Pep's right-hand man. And I think Arteta could possibly be the long-term replacement, maybe. But then we've got the others. Vincent Kompany in 3-4 years' time, depending on what he does at Anderlecht. Will he come back to Manchester City? Patrick Vieira, who we sent out to manage New York City FC. So there are lots of people in the pipeline, but at this moment in time, I would suggest the first person Pep may suggest is Mikel Arteta, if I'm being honest.
Hi guys, my name is Cameron. I run the Everton fan channel, The Mighty Blues. Andy has kindly asked me to come on to talk a little bit about Saturday night's game between Everton and Manchester City at Goodison Park. He's asked me a few questions to go through, so we're going to go through them today. The first one is, what were my expectations going into the season, and have they changed so far? Well, my expectations were that Everton should be challenging the top 6. Everton should be looking to break into that top 6, especially considering obviously the struggles that Chelsea had in the summer transfer market, considering the fact that Manchester United weren't brilliant towards the back end of last season, and Arsenal's away record last season was quite poor as well. So my expectation was for Everton to be right in there with the likes of Leicester and Wolves to challenge the top 6. They haven't really changed. It's still an expectation. However, obviously, the biggest thing for us this season was consistency and nailing down consistency. We haven't done that so far. We still can't seem to string 2 wins together on the bounce, obviously coming off the back of poor performances against Bournemouth and Sheffield United in the Premier League. So they haven't changed the expectation. However, I've become a little bit more realistic, and I've sort of understood that, before we start to challenge any of the top 6, before we start to challenge to get in there, we really, really do need to get that consistency nailed down, because we can't be expecting to be amongst the top teams in the Premier League if we can't string 2 wins together and we can't go away from home against sides that we realistically should be beating and get 3 points, and it doesn't seem like we can do that at the minute. So it's still an expectation. However, I understand that if we don't fix ourselves up sharp quickly, it's going to be a real struggle to break into that top 6.
Okay, so Cameron's second question to me is, it's all about leadership, and he says, do I miss the leadership of Fabian Delph and obviously Vincent Kompany? Well, you know, who wouldn't miss Vincent Kompany's leadership? Definitely, even though, you know, the last sort of 2 years he didn't play as often as we would have liked him to have played, but certainly around the dressing room, around the training pitch, I mean, just that whole mentality that he brings to, or he brought to Manchester City. Of course, we're going to miss that. There's, you know, there's no getting away from it. Would I like him to have stayed around the club for another year or so? Yeah, definitely. But in all reality, he's ambitious. He wants to go out there now and try and prove his worth in a coaching and managerial role in his final sort of year or so of playing football. Will he come back to the club? I think he will do. I think he'll come back to City at some point in the next 2 or 3 years, once he's got a little bit of experience under his belt. But we'll definitely miss him. But, you know, like all the big clubs, when these, you know, people leave, the likes of Puel at Barcelona and others, we've got to find another replacement. That's time for others to actually step up and take the place, because they can't be around the club and influencing players forever. But yeah, we'll definitely miss him this season. I'm almost certain of it. As for Fabian Delph, exceptional pro, and I think you've got a great leader moving to Everton as well. That brings bags full of experience. He'll bring sort of the philosophy of inside the Manchester City dressing room. And will we miss him? Possibly not. The problem with Fabian Delph was he was, you know, picking up non-stop injuries and then coming back, and in a Manchester City team, it was very difficult for him to get a run of 4 or 5 games. And just unfortunately, in his final year, when he did come back, those particular comeback games, he made a bit of an error, and sadly then picked up a knock, and he just couldn't get a run of 3 or 4 games together. So he'll be a miss definitely from an experience and leadership point of view, but it'll be your gain.
The second question Andy has asked is, what about our signings? Have they been poor? Have they been good? Who's been poor? Who's been good? So obviously in the summer we signed Andre Gomez on a permanent. We signed Jean-Philippe Gbamin. We signed Fabian Delph from Eula. We also signed Moise Kean up top. And we signed Alex Iwobi, of course, from Arsenal, and Djibril Sidibe at right back. I think Djibril Sidibe, obviously to start with, has only just come in himself. He's had a couple of games played in the Carabao Cup twice. I think he played really, really well on Tuesday night against Sheffield Wednesday. Got a really, really good assist for Alex Iwobi. Alex Iwobi himself, I think, has done really, really well. 2 goals and 1 assist so far in his Everton career. He seems to be warming into the club really, really well. Obviously, he's played on that left-hand side. He's played in the number 10 role as well, so I'm really, really happy with him. Fabian Delph has come in. Absolutely fantastic footballer. Really good leader as well. Somebody that we really, really needed in our team. Somebody that can lead the players, rile players up for the game of football, and that isn't afraid to scream at players if they're not doing what they need to do. So I'm really, really happy with him. In terms of the other 2 midfielders, obviously we know Andre Gomez from last season. We know what to expect with him. He's come in, he's settled exactly like he did last season, and it pretty much seemed, feels like he's still an Everton player, and he wasn't really a summer signing. And Jean-Philippe Gbamin, we haven't seen a lot of him. Obviously, he played a couple of games, struggled in his first game, started to get a little bit better in the second game, however then went out injured, and we literally haven't seen him since. So really, really excited to see him come back into the squad. Moise Kean, I really, really like Moise Kean. For me, just needs to get his first goal. He just needs to get underway, and then I think we've got an absolute cracking player on our hands. So much potential, so much quality, and I can't wait for him to, like I said, to get that first goal, and hopefully then to really, really break free then.
Okay, and on to question 3, and that is, are you confident of winning the Premier League? Never confident. I'm a Man City fan. Old school City fans, it never leaves you. It just never ever leaves you. As good as we have been over the last couple of seasons, in particular, 198 points over 2 seasons is just phenomenal. 100-point season. Last season, winning 4 trophies, 3 domestic ones that have never been done before. We've started off. Liverpool have been very, very strong. They've currently got a 5-point lead over us at the moment, but there's such a long, over 30 games still to go for the rest of the season. I wouldn't say I'm confident. Do I think City can overturn a 5-point or 7-point lead? Yes, definitely. So I wouldn't panic at this moment in time just because we're 5 points behind. There's a long way to go. All the cup competitions start. We've started with the Champions League. We've had the Carabao Cup. The FA Cup will start in the coming months as well, and that's when our squad and our winning mentality, our been there, done it, can really assist us. And I would suggest we look at it again around about February time. That will tell us exactly where we are on the running, and that's when City tend to go on these runs of 14, 15, 16 games unbeaten. Whether Liverpool can do that, I'm not too sure when the pressure comes. And the squad is being used non-stop in all of these competitions, unless Klopp decides that he's going to bin off the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, and he goes all in again for just two competitions, which is the Premier League and the Champions League. That may help their squad depth or lack of it compared to Manchester City's, but Pep won't do that. Pep will go for every single competition, and if we were to win the Champions League and the Premier League and maybe even get a treble rather than a quadruple, I think it'd be a phenomenal season again. So am I confident? I've got to say, we'll wait and see. Do I think City will win the Premier League? Yes, I do.
Third question, Andy has asked us my lineup for Saturday for Everton. I'm going to go for Jordan Pickford in goal, Luca Dean at left back, Michael Keane and Yerry Mina at centre back. I'm going to go for Jabril Sadiba at right back, continuing obviously after this good performance against Sheffield Wednesday midweek. I'm going to go for the midfield three of I'm going to go for the midfield three of Morgan Schneiderlin, Fabian Delph and Alex Iwobi in the number 10. Obviously Tom Davies played on Tuesday night against Sheffield Wednesday. However, I do think Marco Silva will take him out. Put Morgan Schneiderlin back in. And listen, I think Manchester City, the team that are going to come at us, they're going to want to, win the game. Obviously, they're going to want to break fast. So I think putting Morgan Schneiderlin in there next to Fabian Delph wouldn't be the worst thing. I've gone for Alex Iwobi in the number 10 role, keeping his place. I think he was fantastic on Tuesday night. I think he's played really, really well in the majority of games that he's played for us. And I've gone for the front three of Bernard on the left, Richarlison on the right, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. Richarlison has been sort of hot and cold this season. He's had some really good performances, some really, really vital goals he scored as well. But he's had some performances where you can see he's a little bit tired and he needs a little bit of a rest. Bernard on the other side, I haven't seen a lot of him, obviously, with Alex Iwobi coming in and taking up that place on the left-hand side for the majority of the games he's played. However, when Bernard's come in, he's done quite well, so we'll be happy to see him in there. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. A lot of fans will be calling for Moise Kean. A lot of fans will be wanting Moise Kean to start this game. However, I think it's important to understand, obviously, that Moise Kean is still trying to settle into the squad. He's still trying to settle into the system, settle into the country as well. And I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously, has got that little bit more experience on him and has scored a couple of more goals this season as well. Andy's fourth question is, who do I fear from Manchester City and why? So I think the obvious one is the likes of Raheem Sterling, Sergio Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, three absolutely fantastic attacking players for me. Kevin De Bruyne is the best player in the Premier League. Raheem Sterling is one of the best players in Europe at the minute. So definitely fear those going forward. We've been a little bit shaky defensively recently. As I'm sure you know, balls coming into the box tend to be our absolute downfall. And, Michael Keane and Yerry Mina have seemed to have been lacking in confidence recently, so I am a little bit fearful of those three players attacking us. Gabriel Jesus as well, of course. Bernardo Silva, I think, is a fantastic player. However, talking about the other end, I think defensively we can get at you, and I think defensively we can exploit obviously your frailties. But in terms of who I fear, it is mostly that attack from the midfield onwards. Really is something that obviously Marco Silva knows that his team are going to have to be solid, they're going to have to be compact, and they can't be allowing these players to break away and create opportunities.
Okay, and question 4 then from Cameron. Thoughts on Saturday's game? And he's asked, am I confident about it? Well, going into the game, am I confident of a City win, getting 3 points? Yes. Am I confident that City will absolutely destroy Everton? No, not at all. It's always difficult going to Goodison Park. We saw that last season, very, very tight game. And I think it'll be the same again. I can't see, a score like the Watford game. Yourselves are real in and out form at the moment. I know you had a win against Sheffield Wednesday in the Carabao Cup midweek, but then you've gone back looking at the results. You got beat at home 2-0 by Sheffield United, Bournemouth 3-1. And you got a tight win against Wolves, who have not started the season well at all. So I'd have to say, yes, I'm confident of the 3 points. With regards to how easy it will be, I don't think it'll be an easy game at all. It never, ever is. Tight, packed ground. The atmosphere will be great, again, as it always is at Goodison Park. But I am confident of 3 points. What the score will be, I'm not too sure. Maybe I'll tell you that towards the end. But yes, I'm confident of 3 points. That's all I'm going to say.
And the final question from Andy is score prediction. Now, I'm going to go bold for this one. Listen, it's typical of Everton to turn up in a game like this. It's typical of Everton to, be on poor form and not put a performance in against the likes of Sheffield United and Bournemouth, but us, play a team like Manchester City and really, really put a performance in. We've seen that towards the back end of last season, like I mentioned, with obviously the big wins against some of the top sides, Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, etc. Actually put in a decent performance against yourselves. Didn't come away with anything out the game, but we put in a decent performance. I'm going to go for the optimistic, probably silly, but 2-1 win for Everton. Like I said, I think we can turn up in any game of football, no matter who we're playing, especially at Goodison Park. Obviously, we had the famous 4-0 against you a couple of years ago, and it hasn't quite gone our way over the last couple of years, but I don't put anything past Everton. I really, really don't. And the fact that we're in poor form at the minute, the fact that we were beaten quite poorly against Bournemouth and Sheffield United just strengthens my opinion in the fact that I think we could get something out of this game, because that is just what we do. With Everton, we don't tend to go off the basis of every other football team where if you're in poor form, you're in poor form. We tend to not turn up against the teams that we should turn up against, and turn up against the teams that realistically we probably shouldn't in terms of quality and the players on the pitch. So I'm going to go for an optimistic 2-1 Everton win. You'll probably laugh at that on Saturday night when it ends up not being that at all, but you've got to be optimistic, haven't you? And I think it's realistic because I could see it happening definitely, but I think it's not, like I said, it's not negative, it's not too negative. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to lose, because I wouldn't do that. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Everton. Big thanks to Andy for letting me come on the channel. Like I said, I run the Everton fan channel, so if you want to come and check us out, we're well on the way now to 1,000 subscribers, so I really, really would appreciate that. Like I said, big thanks to Andy. Good luck for the rest of the season. Obviously, don't let them lot over there do anything this season. Big thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, and Cameron's final question then. And this is a good one. First of all, he wants a score prediction. Well, my score prediction will be Everton 1, City 3. But his main question is, my favourite ever Manchester City player, or my favourite Man City player, and the best ever Man City player I've ever seen. Well, there's only one, and that's for both of those sort of questions, and that is David Silva. David Silva, for me, I've been going since 1977, which was my first game. David Silva is he's definitely the best player I've seen in a Manchester City shirt in my lifetime. Still is my favourite player. I'm going to be devastated when he leaves at the end of this particular season, but he's been a wonderful servant, an absolutely incredible professional, and an absolutely amazing technically gifted player who's basically won everything apart from the Champions League. So this season it would be fantastic if we did win the Champions League in David Silva's last season. So I'm sure people who are older than me, who might have seen the likes of Colin Bell, for example, that he was injured when he just came back at the about 6 months after my first game. But I didn't really see Colin Bell in his pomp, so I can't really talk about that. For me, in my era, David Silva is just not only a wonderful person, a fantastic professional, but what an incredible player. And he's been superb servant for Man City. And we thought this is going to be his last season. He's going to be rotated. He isn't. He's playing as good as he ever has. He's been absolutely phenomenal so far. So for me, the best Man City player at the moment for me, I love David Silva anyway, and the best I've ever seen, David Silva. But hopefully, with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne coming soon, who knows, maybe if you ask me the same question in 10 years' time, it may be Kevin De Bruyne. But for me right now, it's David Silva. Anyway, what I'd like to do is just say a massive thank you to Cameron from the Mighty Blues. Myself and Martin will be at the game on Saturday evening. And don't forget, we'll be meeting up with Cameron outside Goodison Park. We'll be having a quick chat with him. We'll be doing fan cams. So if you see us, come over and have a chat. And let's hope we get the 3 points and another brilliant performance by Manchester City. But this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Don't forget, go over, check out if you're a Blue, if you're an Everton fan, or you're a football fan and you want to check out some of Cameron's stuff. Go over and check out the Mighty Blues on all social media platforms and YouTube, etc. But anyway, if you're not a subscriber of Man City Fan TV, don't forget, click the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way you'll be notified immediately when new videos come out, which is every single day, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. Plus you'll be able to be notified of all when the new fan cams, before games, after games, etc. are posted on the channel. But anyway, take care. All we want is 3 points and a good performance on Saturday. See you soon.